our headlines for tonight. President Marcos and lawmakers express willingness to submit their statement of assets, liabilities, and net worths.
Interior and Local Government Secretary John Vic Remulla says former lawmaker Zaldi Co inserted 500 million pesos of Philippine National Police Intelligence Fund for 2025.
Vice President Sara Duterte questioned Marcos' administration over claims of destabilization and defends freedom of speech.
Hamas tightens grip in Gaza Strip after an agreed ceasefire with Tel Aviv.
Good evening, bringing you the latest news for tonight. I am ALVIN PELOBELLO.
And I am KRIZZA Lopez. This is Eurotv News Thread. The details on our broadcast. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. stated he is willing to open his statement of assets, liabilities, and net worth, or SALN, to the public after the last administration restricted access to the document.
Along with President Marcos, lawmakers also welcomed the Office of the Ombudsman's memorandum upholding the transparency that the public is calling for. More from this report.
Several government officials have expressed their willingness to make their statements of assets, liabilities, and net worth, or SALNs, public amid the ongoing investigation into alleged corruption in flood control projects. Leading the call for transparency are President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and Senate President Vicente Tito Soto, who both agreed to open their SALNs for public scrutiny. President Marcos said he will abide by previous transparency directives that were discontinued during the last administration. He added that he is ready to submit his SALN if required. So, the president emphasized that he is confident in his record and actions, noting that he has nothing to hide. He also reiterated that this is why the Independent Commission for Infrastructure, or ICI, was created, to ensure an impartial investigation into corruption cases within the government projects. Marcos further stressed that the ICI's investigation is an independent process that he cannot influence or interfere with. So, the president also urged members of his cabinet to do the same and open their SALNs to uphold the transparency demanded by the public. Meanwhile, in a text message to reporters, Senate President Soto said he is likewise ready to present his SALN anytime. Several other senators also expressed support for making SALN public again, including Senators J.V. Ejercito, Sherwin Gatchalian, Risa Hontiveros, Kiko Pangilinan, and Joel Villanueva. Recently, the Office of the Ombudsman issued a memorandum lifting restrictions on public access to the SALNs of government officials, a move seen as a step toward restoring accountability and public trust. This is KRIZZA Lopez for Eurotv News.
Another lawmaker exposes the scheme on how the Department of Public Works and Highways and their contractors get funds from the government project. This might include the insertion of the budget for the National Expenditure Program for 2026. Mia Layagid has more.
That contractors are part of writing the DPWH budget and allegedly pay DPWH officials for budgetary allocations from the non-allocable or so-called leadership fund that is prepared by the DPWH.
This was just one of the newest revelations disclosed by Batangas 1st District Representative Leandro Leviste regarding the anomalies in funding and alleged corruption inside the Department of Public Works and Highways itself. In a Thursday press briefing, Leviste presented a screenshot of a message his staff received from a district engineer about a contractor working on to get funds for a project in his district. The said funding was supposed to be inserted by the contractor to the National Expenditure Program through the DPWH.
Hindi. Contractor sa regional office ang nag-request niyan dati, ma'am, last year pa. And what we found out, when the net came was one of the non-allocable projects of DPWH in my district.
Leviste noted that this revelation is to clarify as early as now that any projects under NEP's non-allocable projects named under his district is not proposed by the district. Leviste believes that contractors have insertions even in the 2026 NEP and that it is not impossible that there are projects already paid even when the NEP is not yet done.
This, I think the public should know, is how the DPWH budget, at least in my district, was written. Based on what I was told, may mga contractor na may mga kakilala daw sa DPWH na nagpapasok ng mga projects. At again, weaving it together with the Senate testimonies, meron konsiderasyon. Kaya ipinapasok mga ito ng DPWH at ang mga contractor na yon ang
The lawmaker also condemned possible ties of DPWH officials and these kinds of corruption activities. Aside from this, Leviste also revealed reports he received regarding DPWH Secretary Vince Dizon and his team having ties with government contractors. He also questioned Dizon's failure to disclose information about new projects as requested by the House Committee. Leviste urged Dizon to disclose any possible ties with government contractors and to finally reveal and disclose the data related to the NEP.
I'm asking that before further deliberations on the DPWH budget, Secretary Dizon will do what he said he would do and share this publicly available derivable data on the budget per legislative district. I heard that Secretary Dizon and his team have connections with contractors and in the interest of transparency should disclose all of their connections with contractors and any knowledge that they have on the possibility of kickbacks from DPWH project.
Dizon, on the other hand, received these sentiments positively, even expressing gratitude to Leviste for this information. Dizon admitted that DPWH was used to achieve corruption but expressed commitment and dedication to clean the agency.
Dahil napaka-importante po ng DPWH sa buhay ng ating mga kababayan. Kaya talagang nakakalungkot at nakakagalit na itong napaka-importanting ahensyang ito ay ginamit sa pagnanakaw. Kaya yon ang pinipilit nating gawin ngayon. Upon the directive of the President, we have started and will continue to cleanse this department from top to bottom.
The Secretary also said that he is willing to discuss these information with Leviste, urging the lawmaker to name them as he will act on the matter urgently.
Pero kung meron siyang specific, ang commitment ko sa kanya at sa lahat ng ating mga kababayan, dahil na rin sa direktiba ng Pangulo na siguraduhin luminis na finally itong DPWH, tatanggalin ko po yung taong yon immediately. At kung kinakailangan, kakasuhan ko pa yung taong yon. That's very important to me, no, na malaman talaga. No, kung sino yan, kung ano ang circumstances nung narinig niya, importante sa akin yan.
This is Mia Layagin for Eurotv News.
During the budget hearing of the Department of the Interior and Local Government or DILG in the Senate, Secretary John Vic Remulla alleged that resigned lawmaker Saldico has inserted 500 million pesos into the Philippine National Police Intelligence Fund. However, Remulla asserted that the funds were never utilized and were returned to the Malacanang. Here's the report.
During this budget hearing, Interior Secretary that resigned 500 million pesos into the Philippine National Police or PNP Intelligence Fund for 2025. The revelation came after Senate Committee on Finance Chair Sherwin Gatchalian noticed a significant decrease in the PNP's Intelligence Fund allocation for 2026.
25, 1.3 billion, but in 2026, 800 million. No? How will this affect your intelligence gathering and also counterintelligence activities?
In 2025, the PNP's Intelligence Fund amounted to 1.3 billion pesos, but for 2026, the police only requested 800 million pesos. According to Secretary Remulla, the 500 million pesos was returned to Malacanang and was never utilized.
The 500 million that is additional to that was an insertion which we turned over to the office of the president. We didn't use that 500 million. So that is the grand total. But as according to we only followed what is according to the GA and not the NEP and not the GA. What was put additional was we found no use for it and we returned it to the Office of the President.
Okay.
Remulla explained that the funds were never untouched because they were part of an insertion allegedly made by Congressman Ko, the same lawmaker who also pressured Agriculture Secretary Henry Chu Laurel to approve the importation of 3,000 containers of fish. Based on earlier hearings, it was confirmed that Ko had insisted on the importation despite resistance from the DA.
Sir, we returned it because it was an insertion in the budget. And the insertion came from the person who requested 3,000 containers of fish. So
Why will they insert intelligence funds?
it beats me, sir. We didn't ask for it, so I returned it.
Okay.
When asked by Senator Gatchalian if the 800 million pesos fund would be enough for 2026, PNP Chief Melencio Nartates replied that they are simply managing with what has been allocated to them. Senator Gatchalian, however, emphasized the importance of ensuring that the PNP has sufficient funds for intelligence and counterintelligence operations. Remulla added that they decided to return the 500 million pesos due to concerns that the lawmaker who made the insertion might expect something in return.
We want to make sure that the PNP has enough funds for intelligence and counterintelligence. Hindi ito magiging insertion na may kapalit, no? Ang kapalit nito is peace and order, no?
Exactly, sir. That was what we were afraid of because it was an insertion. There might have been a trade-off with it. So that's why we refused the insertion of the 500 million.
Agreed. All right.
It can be recalled that last September, Nabota City Representative Toby Tiangco accused Saldico of making insertions amounting to 13.8 billion pesos for flood control projects. This is KRIZZA Lopez for Eurotv News.
Aiming to help the government to suppress corruptions and irregularities in funding, private company pushes for the blockchain technology for the transparency. A support for the proposed bill seeking to use blockchain for government funds filed in the Senate. Mia Layagin returns.
Amid the issue of corruption within the government, some tech groups are pushing for the adopting of the blockchain technology to curb corruption. During kapihan sa Manila Bay News Forum, Blockchain Council of the Philippines President Donald Lim explained blockchain technology as an advanced and decentralized database mechanism that can store records of transactions which can be monitored by all the involved parties. Lim described this as a live ledger of transactions, giving a copy to all the participants to allow them to track and validate transactions. In relation to government transactions, blockchain technology will serve as a ledger showing where funds and budget is allocated.
Principle of blockchain is that every time nagkaroon tayo ng transaction, may binigay ka sa akin, sa buong barangay, naka-record yung transaction na yun.
Buong barangay?
Buong barangay, lahat
Alam
ng tao.
ng buong barangay, may
alam
utang
ng buong
ka.
na may utang ako. Lahat ng barangay, everyone, right? Nire-record din, may sariling notebook lahat sila.
Okay.
So yung transaction, nire-record nila. So sila rin, ito, si Sir, pumunta sa iyo. Si Sir John pumunta sa iyo, na may inutang din sa iyo, or kahit na nagbayad siya, naka-record sa ating lahat. In blockchain, walang filters. Lahat, kita ang lahat ng wallet at paano ang plus minus at paano ikot.
Sa Bitcoin.
Nakikita sa Bitcoin. At lahat ng blockchain. In principle, lahat ng public chain.
Okay.
Nakikita. So kung binigyan kita ng Bitcoin, makikita ng lahat ng tao yon.
You move it.
Jonathan Bocaling, President and Chief Executive Officer of Integra Nexus Incorporated, detailed the 4 core pillars of blockchain technology. These features assure that all data recorded cannot be changed, all network members can monitor the records, no point of control and authority, and all parties must agree before the data can be validated.
Once you initiate a transaction, there is a broadcast of that particular transaction among the nodes. By the way, these nodes are the participants among the blockchain members. And by the time there's a broadcast of the transaction, there is a verification whether that broadcast is valid or not.
With this technology, any form of corruption will not seep through. This was the basis of Senator Bam Aquino when he proposed Senate Bill No. 1330, a measure seeking the creation of a national budget blockchain system to strengthen transparency, accountability, and public participation in the budget process. Aquino believes that through this technology, the public itself can check and validate flow and allocation of every peso of the national budget. Under this proposed bill, the Department of Information and Communications Technology, Department of Budget and Management, and the Commission on Audit will create a blockchain-based budget system where all national budget records are recorded as digital public assets. Presently, the ICT is the only government agency that has a node, the e-government web, but LIM aims that all government agencies be able to set up their own nodes. BCP already proposed the pilot testing of Integrity Chain before the Department of Public Works and Highways, which is the center of the ongoing infrastructure corruption issue.
Under the DICT, may ego chain na ginawa under Yusek David, yung pa lang. So like what I've said, because it's only one, it's not a chain. Mag-isa lang siya. No? So right now, we're waiting. Kasi matagal na si Yusek David naman, siya naman yung may vision na sana lahat i-blockchain eh. Problema is that, sabi nga, kailangan whole of government in a way. Dapat lahat may kanya-kanyang nodes, wala pang nangyayaring ganon. So what we did was that the private sector, when we came in, we said, gawa tayo, let's try to execute blockchain para maintindihan ng lahat. And therefore, we partnered with the DPWH, we created, sabi ko, ito yung integrity chain. Kasi, para mabilis i-explain, integrity chain. And then, we use it on a, what we call a public blockchain called Polygon para mabilis to get it off the ground immediately para wag na mag-computer kasi we ride on that. And then, sino po ang government agency na gustong sumama? DPWH raised their hand. Secretary Bill said, sige, kami muna. And then, let's try to use the foreign assistant kasi klaro yung mga papeles lahat nun. Wala muna tayong iisipin na dapat whether from the Senate, from the upper house, from the lower house, or from the executive branch. Very clear yung pag-allocate ng funds and where the funds will go to.
Bocaling, on the other hand, recognized the potential security risk and data sensitivity in dealing with the national budget information, reason why he proposes a sovereignty blockchain which is locally crafted in the Philippines.
Our situation right now, especially for DPWH, COA, DBM, these are institutional platforms.
Yes.
Security is the most important consideration for building the blockchain.
Yeah.
It has to be a sovereign validator. Mean to say, starting from the data center, the infrastructure layer, the network layer, mean to say the software itself, has to be locally formulated or built in the country. If we outsource those validators from the outside, just like Polygon and Stellar, all these validators are from the outside. Once it shuts down, then all the transactions of DBM, DPWH will be. We propose to have a sovereign blockchain, especially Senator Bam Aquino is proposing a bill for blockchain. A sovereignty blockchain has to be included on this because sovereignty is the most important part of the blockchain platform.
Meanwhile, the ICT said that it is open with putting the 2026 national budget in the blockchain to curb corruption. The ICT is now eyeing to store the records of the 2026 budget deliberations in blockchain after President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. pushed for the live streaming of the budget hearings at the bicameral level. The ICT Secretary Henry Aguda also confirmed that he have been in talks with blockchain networks to use the technology mechanism but assures to not tie the Philippines with a single service provider only. This is Mia Layagin for Eurotv News.
Clashes between the executive branch continues as Vice President Sara Duterte challenges President Marcos to resign amid the alleged destabilization, also linking an intensified corruption over the flood control projects. Catherine Landicho has more.
Vice President Sara Duterte expressed confusion over the Marcos administration's view that calls for President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. to resign constitute an act of destabilization, especially amid intensifying allegations of corruptions in flood control projects. Speaking at the Pandesal Forum on Thursday, October 16, Duterte said that the public demonstration, even if held daily along EDSA, should not be seen as a threat to the government. According to Vice President, the administration's react may be rooted in fear.
Takot sila kasi totoo yung sinasabi ng mga tao na ginagawa nila. Hindi nila ma-deny kasi nasa papel Diba? Nakikita mo sa budget ang nangyayari. So hindi ma-deny, so takot.
Duterte added that freedom of speech and expression is a vital component of democracy and should not be used as a reason to silence the oppositions or critics of the government. This is Catherine Landicho for Eurotv News.
The Philippine government is in deep cooperation with the Hong Kong police for the whereabouts of the two missing Filipino domestic helpers. The Filipinos were last seen on a country trail last October 4. Here's the report.
It has been more than a week since two Filipino domestic helpers were reportedly missing in Hong Kong. Mahilom Pabuaya and Aleli Perez Tibay were last seen at Longmon Country Trail at around 4 p.m. on October 4. The Hong Kong police have also appealed to the public for the whereabouts of the two Filipinos. According to the Department of Foreign Affairs or DFA, the Philippine Consulate General is continuously coordinating with the Hong Kong police to locate two OFWs. The Department of Migrant Workers is in collaboration with the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, has contacted the employer and relatives of the two Filipinos. The DMW expressed concern about the situation of the two missing Filipinos. According to the information from DMW Secretary Hans Layo Kakdak, before being reported missing, Pabuaya was able to send money to her family in the Philippines. However, her employer later confirmed that the OFW was nowhere to be found.
We are relying, of course, with the leadership of our Consul General in Hong Kong, the DFA, and Hong Kong authorities.
The secretary also said that two missing Filipinos had no prior records of problems or complaints from their employers while working abroad. According to Pabuaya's relatives, the Filipina has only been in Hong Kong for a few months, while Tibay has been working in the country for several years. This is ALVIN PELOBELLO for Eurotv News.
The Supreme Court has declined the petition to disqualify Caloocan Representative Edgar Erice. The case is about the Commission on Election of Embezzlement. More from Catherine Landicho.
The Supreme Court has dismissed the petition seeking to disqualify Edgar Erice from running as the representative of Caloocan in the 2025 election. In a decision penned by Associate Justice Henry Jean Paul Inting, the Supreme Court en banc overturned the earlier ruling of the Commission on Elections or COMELEC, which had disqualified Erice for allegedly violating the Omnibus Election Code. The case stemmed from statement made by Erice in 2024 in which he questions COMELEC's 18 billion pesos contract with Miro Systems and accused the agency of corruption. However, according to the Supreme Court, COMELEC had no legal basis to directly declare Erice guilty, stating that only the Regional Trial Court has the authority to decide on criminal election cases. The High Court also clarified that the act of spreading false or alarming information is not one of the grounds for disqualifications under Section 68 of the Omnibus Election Code. As a result, the Supreme Court nullified COMELEC's disqualifications order against Erice. This is Catherine Landicho for Eurotv News.
The farmers from Occidental Mindoro face a Senate hearing to convey their grievances regarding the lack of government support, emphasizing that the province has been championing food security. More from Vanessa Cleophas.
Napakasakit isipin na sinasabi nilang lahat, bayani kami. Pero nasaan? Itinuring nyo kaming bayani pero kinalimutan kami. Limot na bayani kami. Di po ba? Limot na bayani na po kami, Mr. Chair. Kaya po, nasaan ang hustisya? Bibilhin ang aming palay, 8 piso, 10 piso. Kumain ka sa Jollibee, kumain ka sa McDo. Magkano ang isang kakapiranggot na kanin? 25?
The Bantay Oxy Association, a group representing farmers from Occidental Mindoro, raised these grievances during the Senate hearing of the Committee on Agriculture, Food and Agrarian Reform led by Committee Chair Senator Francis Kiko Pangilinan. According to the president of Bantay Oxy, they are always hailed as champions of the country's food security, but their sector continues to receive limited support from the government. Although they are grateful for the farm machineries and modern technology being provided to them by the government, it still results in additional cost for the farmers despite the continued drop in unmilled rice prices.
Kapos na kapos ang pagmamahal ng gobyerno sa aming mga magsasaka. Bagaman, binigyan kami ng mga farm machineries ng PhilMec. Maraming salamat po sa pamamagitan ng DA at ng PhilMec. Maraming salamat po. Subalit hindi po sapat. Hindi po sapat. Sapagkat ito po, mga makinaryang ito'y ginagamitan din namin ng puhunan, ng fuel, ng mga pyesa na kapag ka nasisirain, sobrang mahal. Katulad po ngayong bumagsak ang presyo ng palay, paano po namin i-operate ito? Napakamura ng presyo ng palay.
She also emphasized that until now, most farmers not only in Occidental Mindoro but across the country have not experienced any improvement in their lives through farming. Instead, other countries are the ones getting richer due to the Philippines' continued importation of rice and other agricultural products, which ideally should already be produced locally.
Patuloy po kaming lumulubog, Mr. Chair, dahil sa nangyayari. Sino po ang pinayayaman natin? Ang ibang bansa. Bakit? Dahil po sa pag-i-import natin ng bigas. Sa pag-i-import natin ng iba pang mga produkto, hirap na po ang magsasaka ng Occidental Mindoro.
Farmers also described the government's 20 pesos per kilo rice program as a calamity that contributes prices of palay continued to decline that doesn't benefit farmers' need. She added that the National Food Authority or NFA, which used to be a safety net for farmers, lost key regulation powers that could have helped them following the enacted of the Rice Tarification Law o RTL. Tabian also called on Land Bank and other lending agencies to ease and simplify the requirements needed by farmers to access loans. Meanwhile, she said these grievances is one of the many problems faced by the agricultural sectors.
Magmadali ka po sa pagsaklolo sa amin dahil baka sa susunod na anihan, hindi na kami makapagsaka. Kami po ay naririto upang ipaalam sa inyo na kami ay hirap na. Baong-baon na kami. Hindi lang pong sa buhay kung hindi pati sa utang. Baon kami.
Senator Pangilinan, for his part, urged the Department of Agriculture or DA and its attached agencies to further examine and address the problems faced by farmers not only in Occidental Mindoro but in other regions as well. This is Vanessa Cleofas for Eurotv News.
Akbayan Representative Percy Sendanya filed the Kagandahan Bill aiming to streamline the process of changing names and gender markers on public documents for intersex persons. The lawmaker recognizes that intersex persons shouldn't have to go through a court process for gender reassignment. Graciela Corazon tells us more.
Akbayan Representative Percy Senyada is pushing House Bill 5474 or the Kagandahan Bill, which aimed to facilitate the process of changing the name and gender of intersex person in government documents without having go through to the court. The bill was filed to allow an individual to change their gender to match their identity. According to Akbayan Representative Percy Senyada, why it is necessary to go to the court process for gender reassignment when it can be processed at the municipality. Under the current law, or the Public Act 9048 as amended as RA 10172, is a law that allows clerical or typographical error in civil registry documents, including changing a person's first name and nickname without need of court order. This administrative process is handled by the city, municipal civil registrar, or the consul general, who requires a judicial order for the changes. There are only limited reasons for allowing a person to change their name and gender. Senyada added that intersex Filipino deserve to recognize in the eye of the law. Also included in the House Bill co-authors are Dinagat Island Representative Kakapag-aw, Akbayan Representative Chal Jokno, Akbayan Representative Dada Kiram Ismula. The Akbayan Party List hope that this will be enacted to provide dignity, recognition, and legal protection to intersex Filipino while advancing the inclusive system in the country. This is Graciela Corazon for Eurotv News.
While All Saints Day looms near, the Land Transportation and the Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, has visited and inspected terminals, ensuring they are safe for commuters traveling home to their families. Henry Nicolas with a report.
In line with the directives of President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos to ensure passenger comfort and safety, the Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, ordered all regional directors to start conducting inspection on all bus and other transport terminals in preparation for the influx of passengers for the All Saints and All Souls Day on November 1 and 2. LTFRB Chairman Vigor Mendoza II said all bus companies and transport operators will also instructed to make sure that their respective terminals and stations are safe and comfortable for their passengers. Mendoza cited that the passengers of the transport companies are lifeline business. They have to respect them with clean, presentable, and comfortable waiting areas. In his instruction to regional directors and bus stations and other transport companies, Chairman Mendoza specifically cited the need to ensure the cleanliness of comfort rooms. He said comfortable and convenient waiting areas for passengers is also a must in line with the LTFRB requirements. The LTFRB chairman also emphasized the need for transport companies and transport terminal managers to ensure that the booking process for passengers is comfortable for all passengers. To ensure compliance, he said they will be deploying mystery passengers nationwide to check on the condition of bus stations and transport terminal starting October 24. This is Henry Nicolas for Eurotv News.
After receiving reports that a super health center in Antipolo City was padlocked despite being completed in 2024, the Department of Health confirmed that the health center was fully operational starting today. Vanessa Cleofas returns with the details.
The Department of Health, or DOH, found that the Super Health Center in Antipolo City was fully completed when they visited to inspect the facility, as indicated in their records that it had already been finished. This came after they received reports that the said primary care unit was padlocked and not yet in use, even if the construction was completed as early as July 2024. The City Health Officer admitted that it only became operational today due to some equipments that's still waiting and manpower for the Super Health Center. However, the City Health Officer explained that even though it had been unused for about a year since completion, they still able to provide services through the Barangay Health Station located right beside the primary care center. Health Secretary Ted Herbosa was not concerned that the facility only became operational today. Instead, he said it was a good that they found the facility completed, unlike the situation at the Concepcion Dos Super Health Center in Marikina, where only pillars and thick weeds were present. Herbosa reported that the primary care facility was jointly funded by the DOH and the Antipolo City Local Government Unit, or LGU, with a total cost over 19.5 million pesos. The Department of Health emphasized that they continue to investigate the 297 super health centers nationwide to ensure that all of these facilities are truly built and operational and not just ghost or non-existent. This is Vanessa Cleofas for Eurotv News.
Just a week after the agreed ceasefire in Gaza, militant group Hamas allegedly trying to regain control over the city. Killings continues in Gaza Strip related to rival factions and other militant groups. Son Santiago with the report.
Militant group Hamas is once again trying to regain control of Gaza, just weeks after a ceasefire took effect and as Israeli troops partially withdrew from the territory. It can be recalled that US President Donald Trump had previously granted temporary permission for Hamas to maintain control in Gaza until an international peacekeeping body can officially take over. This move came ahead of the Middle East peace deal, which seeks to establish lasting peace in Gaza. Now, Hamas forces have returned to the streets, however, launching crackdowns against rival factions and groups that have allegedly challenged their rule. According to international reports, at least 30 people were killed in the past few days as Hamas conducted raids and public executions of suspected collaborators and opponents, including gangs and clans. One video circulating online shows 7 men executed in public accused of working with Israel. According to Reuters, the group said it would no longer tolerate violations of order in Gaza and vowed to target outlaws. After learning of Hamas' aggressive actions, President Trump issued a stern warning.
Well, they're going to disarm, and because they said they were going to disarm. And if they don't disarm, we will disarm them. But if they don't disarm, we will disarm them. They know I'm not playing games. We have told them we want to disarm, and they will disarm. And if they don't disarm, we will disarm them. And it'll happen quickly and perhaps violently.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu previously reiterated that the war cannot truly end until Hamas gives up its militarization and cedes control of Gaza. The demilitarization of Hamas remains one of the key conditions under the 20-point US peace plan, a demand the militant group continues to reject. In other developments, Hamas has turned over the remaining living hostages as part of the recent prisoner exchange under the US peace framework. However, Israel, which oversees aid distribution in Gaza, has restricted humanitarian aid, citing Hamas' failure to surrender the remains of deceased hostages. This is Son Santiago for Eurotv News.
And that's the latest news for tonight. You may visit Eurotvph.com for more news and information. Once again, I am KRIZZA Lopez.
You can also catch our live broadcast through our social media accounts and via Pinoy Stream channel. I am ALVIN PELOBELLO. Thanks for joining us. This is Eurotv News Thread. Stay safe and have a good night, everyone. Going home.